Today we are going to be creating 3 different compositions using the digital paper airplanes that you should have already created. So we are going to start by going to photopea.com and selecting new project. You can name this airplane composition 1, 2, and 3. You'll be making 3 of them. So this is just number 1. Whoops. And then we are going to change our template to inches, 8.5 inches by 11 inches. You can leave the paper white and then hit create. So the first thing we are going to do is start by adding in our paper airplanes, and then we'll get to the fun stuff. So I'm going to go to File, Open, and Place. And then on my computer, I have the 3 paper airplanes saved. So I'll start with this one, hit open, and you'll see that it'll make a new layer over here. So currently this paper airplane has a white background attached to it. And whenever we're overlapping our paper airplanes, we want it to be just the paper airplane and not the white background. So in order to do that, I'm going to hit enter to get rid of the lines, go over to my layer, right click, and select rasterize image. Then I am going to go over to the left hand side and select object selection tool, hit quick selection, and then I will select my paper airplane. You'll see it outlines all the way around in dotted lines. Then I'm going to need to copy what's inside of the dotted lines. So I'm going to hit Control C on my computer, Control D to get rid of the lines, and then Control V to paste the copy. And you can see over here it made a new layer. So now if I go over to my Move tool, I can move, and you see this one, it does not have a white background attached to it, so that is the one I want to keep. I'm going to go over to where it says Airplane 2. That was my original one, this one right here, and I'm just going to hit delete to get rid of it. So then I have my layer and I have my first airplane movable and ready to go. Now to get the other 2, I'm going to do very similar process, File, Open, Place. Select my second paper airplane. That'll paste it. You see how it has the white background. Now it's easier to see, so it'll cover up the paper airplanes, and that is what we want to get rid of. So again, hit enter. Then right click over on the right hand side and select rasterize. Now my image, I'm able to select the paper airplane. So going back over quick selection tool, I will select my paper airplane, and I want to make sure, so this one, it did not select all of my paper airplane. So I'm going to need to click these parts down here at the bottom in the red to make sure that it includes everything. So I want to make sure that the dotted lines go all the way around all the edges of my paper airplane. Then I'll hit Control C, Control D, and then Control V to paste. And you'll see over here it added another layer. Then I can go back to my Move tool, move my paper airplane off of it, see no more background anymore, and then I go back to my original Airplane 3 layer and hit delete. Now I have these 2 paper airplanes that I can move around, overlap on top of each other, and I just need to add my last one in. So we're going to repeat that process one more time with my last paper airplane. Hit enter, right click to rasterize the image, and then I go over to quick selection, select my whole paper airplane, hit Control C to copy, Control D to deselect, and Control V to paste, and it makes a layer 3 over on this side. Going back to my pointer tool, I can move that paper airplane off, select my original layer where I pasted the paper airplane, and hit delete. Now I have all 3 of my paper airplanes. Anytime I want to move them, you have to select the specific paper airplane that you want to move over on the right hand side. So if I want to move the yellow one, I have to select layer 1 so I can move that one. If I want to select the blue one to move that around, and you can rename these. So if you're ever doing something and you end up getting like 50 layers, you can double click, you can double click on it and it'll highlight the name. So I could name this one blue, just for the blue paper airplane. All right, now that I have all my paper airplanes done, it's time to create a composition. So composition is a fancy word for a layout, and we need to create 3 of them. So in order to create my 3 compositions, I need 2 of my paper airplanes to overlap, and I need 3 of my 4 sides of my paper to have a paper airplane touching it, just like this. So right now, all 4 sides of my paper have paper airplanes touching. I only need 3. I can have all 4, but I only need 3 to get the points for this project. So I can select the different layers to move the paper airplanes around and overlap them. If I want this yellow paper airplane on top of my blue one, I need to take the blue layer and drag it down so that it's underneath my yellow paper airplane. And now, there we go. Now my yellow paper airplane will be on top of my blue one. So that's how you rearrange them if you want one on top of the other. So you have to have 2 paper airplanes that overlap. So this could be my overlap right there. If I want to make a paper airplane bigger or smaller, I need to select the layer. So blue layer, if I want this one to be bigger or smaller. And then you go up to Edit and select Free Transform. And then I'm able to make my paper airplane bigger or smaller. I can rotate it if I want it to be going a different direction. If it looks like it's flying up or flying down, you can move that around as well. And then once you have it how you need it to be, you hit Enter and it will stay just like that. So let's see, once I get my paper airplanes in position, we'll have these 2 overlapping, and we'll have my blue paper airplane flying solo down here. So I have 1, 2, 3 sides of my paper touching, and I have 2 paper airplanes that are overlapping. So I have met all the criteria for this first composition. Now I will click File, Export as JPEG, bring the quality all the way up to 100%, and then select Save, and it'll go right down here to your downloads, and you are ready to submit your first composition. So we need 3 compositions total. Once you have 1, you'll just save it as a JPEG, and then you can exit out of the picture, and you can continue to play with the paper airplanes to create a second and third composition, and then you'll just repeat the last step. Once you have a second composition that you like, you move your paper airplanes around some more. So this one I don't have any overlap. There we go. Once you have a second composition, you'll do the same step, File, Export as JPEG, Save, and then you'll need to do it one more time to create a third composition. Once you have all 3 done, you can submit your assignment through email or Schoology.